And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of 412 Press Coverage. This is now the fifth episode. Happy Victory Monday, everybody. The Steelers pulled out one of the best wins in recent memory. We thought the game against the Raiders was good. And then last week, not last week, excuse me, yesterday, they put us through it. It wasn't easy. It was tough. It was an emotional roller coaster. But the guys pulled it through in the end. We're here joined with J Rod as always, the co-host, and then a special guest, the number
Oh
one
yeah.
Steelers fan, Draco season 412. Welcome back to the pod.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here. So with that being said, Dre, we'll just start with you. Just what's your raw reaction to how the Steeler game went?
Well, my initial reactions, I do have to say the game did start slow. We were getting drives going, but we weren't finishing. But the way we closed that out, the way Kenny closed that out, that was just amazing. I was running and screaming all through the house. That was a great way to finish a game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was when they threw the touchdown pass, I'm just like I almost tore my ACL jumping up and down, but like it almost got bad. J Rod, what about you? What do you think?
I think it was overall good game. Hey man, I'm not gonna lie. I've been saying this all year. Najee Harris is 6'6". He's not really 6'6", 300 pounds, pure muscle. Give that man the ball. Just fucking feed him. He's
He's
gonna
him.
get you yards. He's fucking
He is
huge. I don't
him.
understand. I don't understand why the Steelers are just now giving him the ball. He should have got the ball out. He should get the ball 20 times a game, just like he did yesterday. Every game, like bro, that don't even make sense.
And did you
What do he
see
have?
him?
Like a buck 12,
He had
buck
a, he had
20.
20 carries, I
Somewhere.
think, for like 112, and then I
Yeah,
think he had only 2 catches, but he had the most important catch on the night. And the other thing that he
bro,
was
that
doing,
catch was
bro,
horrible too. That catch was good. That's
and
probably the best catch of
Najee,
the night.
he was running his mouth. He was on demon time, talking stuff after getting tackled, stiff arming people. Like it seemed like every time he was down in the pile, like he was getting up and he was running his mouth, that's such a beautiful thing to see.
It felt like a good old time Ravens Steelers rivalry game.
And the thing about Najee and his performance yesterday, which a lot of people that I listen to talk about the game are saying that that's his best game of his career. I would have to agree in terms of just the moment, the stage, the implications in the game, in the
I
performance,
think
and
he
the
just
clutch
punched his
runs.
ticket. I think he punched his ticket to, stay with the team next year,
And so,
essentially, to be the starter.
so with that being said, the thing from Najee we've kind of seen right earlier in the season he was injured, and he kind of wasn't playing up to his standard. Not necessarily he was a superstar last year, but he was really really good for us. And then this season he comes back, he's hurt, doesn't play that well. After the bye, he starts to pick it up. But then yesterday was very important because he took a step from good to great. And when you draft a running back in the first round and you pass up on O lineman and whoever else they pass up on, you don't draft him to be good. You know what I'm saying? You draft him to be great. You draft him to be a superstar. The way Najee was playing yesterday, that was who Najee was meant to be. That was who the Steelers drafted him to be. And I think it's such a good sign to see him playing like that, not only getting those physical runs and running by people and making contested catches, but getting up and running his mouth after he does it. And I think that's such a positive step to see from him, especially considering it seems like every game since the bye week, right? He's just gotten better and better and better. The numbers might not always be there for every game, but we've seen that improvement from him. And to see him finally break out and have that superstar, this is what he was drafted for type of game. I mean, that was beautiful. And
Yeah,
yeah,
you
I don't
gotta
think,
look at it, man. He was getting, I say, about what, five a carry. So that
and
was out to a
Yeah,
little bit of
5 yards
five
per
carry.
carry.
and it's not
He
even
was
just
killing
about
yesterday.
the average, but it's about the big runs too. Like obviously with any run game, you're going to have those runs where you don't get anything, where you get to it. But even on those runs, right, where at the beginning of the season and maybe last season a little bit, when he's getting stuffed at the line, he's not going anywhere, but you
He
can't
always
blame him for
falls
that.
forward.
But yesterday, I mean, he was getting 2 to 3 on every single carry. And
Hey,
there
we
were,
can't just say it was him either, because Warren had a pretty decent game too.
no, for
I think
sure.
overall they had what, 200 rushing yards for the game, or maybe like a buck 80. They had a
192. Yeah,
yeah, they
192.
had a pretty good run game all in all yesterday.
hmm No, for sure. Warren definitely. Warren definitely was a part of it, and that's what's such a beautiful thing about it, right? Is that two-headed monster, especially with Najee, you know, first round pick, and then Jalen Warren's an undrafted guy coming in and just making the plays that he needs to make. And Jalen Warren has really become a weapon in the pass game, which I think is really very impressive. Which we saw last year, Najee had to carry that load as not only the number one running back, but also one of our top pass catchers. So what makes Jalen Warren so important and so good for the Steelers is that he can take some of that burden off of Najee's shoulders and kind of be effective in the pass game too. Jay?
Yeah, man, I agree. This team since the bye week has literally they've been leaps and bounds better than the team I seen prior to the Eagles game. This team has just been they've been putting it together. We may not be scoring as many points as we should. We're leaving some points on the board. Like Boswell hasn't been doing that well. Our red zone offense isn't that great. But it's coming together slowly but surely. You know?
Yeah.
I think we're gonna touch on that real quick. I think I texted Maurio like
Yeah. Why is he still on the team? As soon as they
why is he still on the team, but why are you kicking the ball?
As soon as he lined up for that
like
field goal, I'm thinking it's 4th and 3 at the 30-yard line.
Why are
we
you
need a touchdown regardless.
Just go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah, and the thing is about our offense not scoring as many points. I think in the moment it feels like they're not scoring as much, but in hindsight, the issue isn't scoring. The issue is touchdowns, right? Because we still scored 16 points. We had 3 field goals. We should have had 4 yesterday. So that's at least 4 drives that we were in some type of scoring position. And how many? I don't think we had like 8 or 9 drives yesterday, and over half of them we were in some. So the issue here is not scoring. The issue is more of punching it in and getting in the end zone. I think on the first drive, we're moving the ball well. I mean, that's about as good as a first drive you could ask for in that type of game. Running the ball, controlling it, 8 minutes off the clock, you get to the 3-yard line, boom, false start, you're pushed back 5 yards. And even though you make up for some of it, it doesn't matter in the end. And I mean, on third down, they throw the fade route to Pickens, which, I mean, I have no problem with that. That's your number one contested catch guy. You give him a good ball. It was just incredibly good coverage by the cornerback.
Not much you could do on that one.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, well, let's transition. We talked about Najee, talked about Jalen Warren in the run game. But let's talk about, the main person that we're all thinking of. Kenny Blick, Kenny Franchise, Kenny Pickett, Kenny Buckets, Kenny Pittsburgh, Kenny Wood. Just
Kenny, whatever you want to call him.
Kenny, whatever you want to call him. Jonathan, let me ask you, as someone who is not a Steelers fan, so you might be a little less biased as me and Dre are, just what grade would you give him for the game overall? Not just the last drive, but just taking the entire game into account.
I mean, like, I can't really say I'm not biased. Like, I'm not a Steelers fan by any means, but he did play at Pitt. But man, like, he had a phenomenal game yesterday. And I want to say, as a rookie, you don't expect what he did yesterday. And I mean, I'm not just saying that because they won. This man is making throws on the money. He's putting spins on that ball. Like, he's not just throwing the ball. He has a tight spiral, a good arm, some pretty good accuracy. Keeps his eyes down the field, even when moving off the pocket. And I mean, he's everything the Steelers I want to say they were looking for in drafting a quarterback. He has, like I said, he has really good vision down the field, especially looking down. I think the biggest thing with rookie quarterbacks is their first instinct is to run when the pocket breaks down. And Kenny has that instinct, he runs, but he also keeps his eyes downfield, which I feel like a lot of people don't really learn until like their third year in the league, to keep their eyes down the field when the pocket collapses. So I think that was a really good thing with him yesterday. I like how he kept his eyes down the field. I like, him getting them yards, them throws in. And I really like his arm. I don't know what it is, but man, he has a tight spiral that I think he's going to be one of the better passers in this league in 3 or 4 years.
Jerry?
Oh, I agree with everything Jonathan had to say, man. Kenny Pickett, when he first came in, his biggest criticisms that I seen at least, where he gets a little happy feet. He still kind of does that a little bit, but now it's the fact that whenever he is rolling out of the pocket, like J Rod said, he is keeping his eyes downfield. Whenever he was first starting off, whenever he first got thrown in the fire, it was more of, oh, the pocket collapsed. I'm just gonna take off, which isn't bad per se, but it's good to see him making these ill-advised throws. There was a throw to Pat Fryermuth. He's rolling left and threw it cross body to his right. If Patrick Mahomes makes that play, it's on Sports Center for like the next month.
Yeah,
And it's just
I've seen that.
him doing stuff like that as a rookie says a lot. It just says a lot. He was the number one graded PFF player on the Steelers this past game, 92.4. Like, he's playing
I'll say
amazing football.
if I was to give him an overall, it'd be probably B plus to A minus. I mean, he didn't have the craziest stats yesterday. It wasn't a game on the passing side. You know what I mean? It was more of a hard, gritty defensive running game on the ground. But all in all, he had a pretty B plus to A minus game in my eyes. Obviously you can always be more accurate.
Yeah.
You want your quarterback to complete every single pass he throws, but that's
sure.
just not how it works in the league. I do think though that he'll definitely be a future quarterback in the league. I don't know. His arm is. I think he has secret arm talent that they need to explore a lot more in the coming year, like the coming off season, even to really get him to be the next level type of quarterback, the elite quarterbacks that Pittsburgh needs.
Yeah. So, a few things I want to address with you. First of all, everything you guys said is yes, you guys are absolutely correct. One thing that about the Patrick Mahomes Sports Center thing, Chris Collinsworth, the broadcaster, yesterday said it. If Patrick Mahomes made that play at the end of the game that Kenny did, we would be ready to induct him into the NFL Hall of Fame at that very moment. So you guys are absolutely correct. Nobody was talking about the Steelers this morning, which obviously it makes me mad because, I'm a Steeler fan, but that's beyond the point. In terms of,
they don't want to talk about them until they actually get in the playoffs.
Yeah, I get that a little bit, but come on, like we're talking about Aaron Rodgers.
The Broncos.
Only Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady could be 8-8, and they'll talk about them more than
it's just
other
like
teams.
it's just like talking about the Lakers, man.
Yeah, that's true. But
you got a store on that team. That's all it is.
So here's the first thing I want to say is him moving in the pocket, right? And you kind of saw when he first came in, he was throwing the ball maybe a little too much. We obviously saw the interceptions. Obviously, not all of them were his fault. I'm not one of those guys that is going to sit here and say, oh, Kenny was throwing all those interceptions. It's on him. But still, the interceptions were happening. And then he kind of got to a point where he wasn't throwing interceptions anymore, but he was kind of either scrambling as soon as his first read wasn't there, or he was running and throwing it away kind of instantly. Like he wouldn't take any second. As soon as he moved his feet in the pocket, it was either going to end in a scramble or a throwaway.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of goes back to what we were saying, like the whole point of this season, whether people want to admit it or not, people in the building know it. We know it. The point of this season is for Kenny Pickett to get better. And that's why it is so important that now when Kenny Pickett moves in the pocket, it was almost like every pass he completed yesterday. It was not necessarily a clean pocket, and he moved and he found the space. Obviously, you talk about the throw to Freiermuth. There was a throw to Diontae Johnson on a third down, I believe. There were multiple throws. There was the throw to Sims was a bit of a clean pocket, but still, it was a great throw. Multiple times, especially on that last drive, you're seeing him move, and instead of he had one to Warren on third down, and that's which is so amazing to see is where we were seeing him kind of just throw it away or scramble. Now he's moving around in the pocket and actually finding people downfield and making plays like that. And that play to Najee Harris, I mean, that's one of the best plays I think the Steelers as a team has had in a long time. Throw out the moment, throw out the time in the game and all the implications, just that play in general, rolling out, spinning to your left, throwing it basically across your body like this, hitting Najee Harris perfectly in stride, putting right on the money in stride, in motion was such. it was just such a great play. And the thing about Pickett, right, is we're kind of seeing people will say that he doesn't take deep shots enough or he can't hit the deep ball. And first of all, he doesn't really have chances to throw the deep ball because, I mean, I don't know if his reads, if they aren't his reads or what, but he can throw the deep ball and he can throw medium to long passes. Obviously, the one to Freiermuth on the move was 21 yards. The one to Sims was, once again, one of those really, really nice passes. And then he had that throw to Diontae Johnson, which his left foot was barely out of bounds, but that's still a nice throw. I think Kenny, if he keeps working on that and working on that deep ball accuracy, he'll be able to become a threat in short, medium, long passes, and you add his legs. And that kind of leads me to what I want to kind of ask you guys next is, do we think Kenny Pickett will continue to get better, or do we think we're seeing his ceiling? Because the thing they say about quarterbacks who spend a lot of years in college is that they don't ever get better, that they come in as the player they're going to be and they never improve. So do you think Kenny will improve? Just keep going. Just go.
I sure hope he does. He hasn't had obviously the greatest season. I think he only has like 6 touchdowns in the entire year.
Yeah.
But like we said, he's a rookie, and I think he's really starting to get it together. I think he's really starting to, everything's clicking basically. Everything's all coming together for him. I do want to see him throw that deep ball more. The longest pass he had all season was 57 yards.
And that wasn't even a deep ball pass.
Yeah, I want to see him throw that deep ball a lot more.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we try to, obviously we're gonna come slack because he's a rookie, of course. But it's kind of like how we were talking with Brady about he's throwing check downs, he's not throwing the deep ball. We have to look at every quarterback in that sense of, okay, yeah, you can throw short and throw it to your running back, but how is the deep ball? How are you doing with throwing it down the field? We know he has the weapons for it, but we want to see it. That's all. We want to see it. I have no doubt in my mind that Kenny Pickett has a good arm. I can see it. Like his spiral, I'm telling you, that thing is a tight, good spiral, and I believe he has a really good arm. But we need to see it all come together. It's not going to be this year, definitely not.
No.
But I think we're going to talk about the playoff picture after this. But let's just say that I don't believe that, they're going to go forward this year. And I think next year he's going to learn a lot. He's going to be 10 times better than he was this year. Because in all, he only threw 6 touchdown passes this year. What did he start? Like,
he started in 12 games. Yeah, he's thrown 6 touchdown passes and he's thrown 9 interceptions. But you have to keep in the fact he has scored 3 touchdowns rushing. So I know that doesn't add to that. But
either way,
he's still
Either way, it's still kind of
the numbers aren't necessarily there, but you have to keep in context. Like, I mean, yes, he has weapons offensively, but like we said, the O-line has gotten much better, but it hasn't always been there.
Yeah,
and the play calling is just. Yeah, go ahead,
It's
Jerry.
more than just looking at the stat sheet because
it's definitely
you can look at those stats and see 6 and 9, but he's been improving every week. You can see it.
We want to see something else. Like we want to see him be able to throw that deep ball. We want them, like everyone wants out of a quarterback, they want the 3 touchdowns a game. Like we don't want to see these 1 touchdown a game, these 200-yard passing. Like we want to see we want a rookie right off the bat to do this, that, and the third. Not to throw Brock Purdy out there, but Brock Purdy, first game he beats Tom Brady, 4 touchdowns? That's what everyone wants to see out of a rookie.
You're right, but that's a completely.
I'm just saying that's what
I know.
Out of a rookie.
Yeah, no,
not necessarily saying kind of compare, but that's just what everybody wants to see.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what people want to see. It just matters for Kenny to get better. So like that is objective. Like it depends on the person. Like me personally, I don't give a shit if he plays, in my opinion, good and he does enough for us to win. That's good enough for me. Now, if he's in his 4th and 5th season and he's still 200, one's giving up one against, plus another thing against the Ravens, I think all stats kind of had to go out the window. 168. What was 15 for
A
27?
big rivalry game like
Against in a
that, and
big
the Ravens
rivalry,
have a good defense. They don't
a
have a
good
bad
defense,
defense.
a really heavy run type of game. I think you would throw the stats out the window. But the thing about throwing the deep ball is the Steelers' pass game. It was there, but it wasn't a threat. It was nothing serious that you take seriously. That's what being able to throw the deep ball kind of elevates and allows you to do.
Yeah,
And that definitely
it
becomes a
opens up a bigger
schematical
part
thing.
of your offense essentially.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dre.
It becomes a schematical thing too. Like, what is Matt Canada writing up? Like, are his hot routes not the dudes that are running deep? Because most of the routes I'm seeing Kenny throw are comebacks, slants, curls. Like, it comes down to like, what's the OC putting out? You know?
Yeah, and that's where another thing too. I think, yeah, like in terms of the weapons that they have, do you guys? I'll ask you this: do you think Diontae Johnson should return to the Steelers? Because I have an opinion on that, but I want to hear what you guys think. Dre, we'll start with you. Dre, did you hear that?
Deontay's been a real spotty receiver his whole career, man.
Career,
It's like
essentially.
he had the year where he almost led the league in drops. And then he still has those moments where he'll drop the ball. He'll make a few good plays here and there, but in my opinion, if we have a chance to trade up, like if we could like put him in a package to trade up for something better, I would do it. You know, I don't think he's safe on our roster, honestly.
Yeah, J-Rock.
In my personal opinion, I think he'll stay because I don't think he'll do as good as he does on the Steelers anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where would he go that he is as good as he is now? You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
he wouldn't leave in free agency. He'd be traded. We'd have to trade him.
Yeah. So it's essentially coming to the point where what can we really get for him? And where would he really strive at? Because I don't feel like the Steelers will just dump him anywhere he doesn't really want to be. I think he's played for the Steelers for how many years now? 3, 4?
This year 5?
Yeah, but I mean that's true. But he hasn't done anything for us. Like he hasn't done anything special.
I don't feel like they just,
in my opinion,
I don't feel like they just dump him. They would probably, they don't want to send him to a team like the Jets or the freaking, the Houston Texans. Like they don't want to go ahead and send him to a team like that. But I think it begs the question on where would he go and what could the Steelers really get for him? Because I'm not really seeing a first-round pick out of Diontae Johnson. You know what I mean?
So it's interesting because I don't know what we'd get for him. I personally, my opinion, and I've talked to Dre about this, is I would get rid of him because right now he is our number 1 receiver.
He's a number 2 being a number 1.
But I don't think. Hold up.
Wait. The craziest thing is 2 receivers can succeed on a team. You just have to have the quarterback to be able to throw the 2 receivers. Like Tua, he has Waddle,
that's true.
He has Hill, Hurts, he has 2,000-yard wide receivers right now.
No, you're right. But Diontae Johnson is not a true number 1 receiver. He is not good enough to be a number 1. And can George Pickens be a number 1? I mean, he's shown signs. We're not to say that he is for sure. Because when I say number 1 receiver, I mean can go off and get you 10 catches for 100+ yards at any given Sunday. A bad game for a true number 1 is somewhere between 5 and 6 catches in 7. Like that's what I mean when I say number 1. Can George Pickens can George Pickens be that? Well, who knows? Time will tell. But George Pickens will never be allowed to blossom into that as long as Deontay is on the roster. And
that's not necessarily true.
I believe that is true.
I believe it too because they're trying to put him as the number 1.
They're trying to make Diontae Johnson the number 1 receiver, and as long as he's on the team, George Pickens will never be able to blossom into that.
That's BS though. Like you can't say, oh, he'll just never blossom because one guy's trying it. Like that doesn't make any sense.
I don't think he will because I think they'll treat.
Let me put it like this. Antonio Brown, he was the number 1 wideout, correct?
Yeah.
Juju still shined on that team, correct?
For a year.
Brown still did what he did.
You're correct. That is because Antonio Brown was so good
He was getting
And he
triple covered.
warranted so much coverage that it left Juju Smith-Schuster most of the time on islands and with teams not as good cornerbacks, which allowed him to. I'm saying Diontae Johnson is not good enough for that to
He's
happen.
not drawing in 3 guys.
I mean,
Yeah,
I still don't believe that. I'll put it like this. Maybe they can have a conversation with Diontae Johnson where it's like, hey, we got a really good guy over here at wideout. We want to make him our number one guy. As simple as that.
I don't think we need
But
to. That's why I believe we should just get rid of him
I don't
because
think I don't think it's good to get rid of somebody that you can view as a good asset to your team just to get a fucking second round pick, third round pick. That's
But if we could get a high second round for Claypool, I think we could get a little bit more for Diontae.
no
in
way.
the Steelers
No
draft.
fucking way.
First of all, we draft wide receivers well. That's the first thing.
We're known for that.
We draft wide
Who are we
receivers
getting
well.
in this draft? Who are we getting in this draft class coming up?
I don't watch enough college football to tell
See?
you a legitimate wide receiver, but I'm telling you,
See?
historically over the years, the Steelers have drafted wide receivers very well. You cannot,
Can't
you just
deny that.
can't argue with that.
I totally understand the point that you're making, but I'm saying why go ahead and draft another wideout when we have a wideout here? Just have the wideout take a back seat.
Because
It's as simple as
Diontae
that.
will not. He sat out of training camp for a contract. Do you think Diontae Johnson is the
He's
type
not
of player
taking
that would agree to do that? I'm saying it would be better for all parties. And you should see Diontae when we were losing earlier in the season. Every single post game press conference, I did everything that I could. He's just. I just don't think he's good for the team. I just think after a certain amount of time, you kind of see what you needed to see from a guy. Diontae is not going to get better. And that's why I personally believe that we're better off without him. Even if we don't get even if we trade him for change, I would still get rid of him regardless.
I don't know, man. I get what you're saying. He's probably not getting any better, but it's one of them things where you're going to lose a weapon either way. Like you're losing a weapon. It just makes no sense. It logically sounds good on paper, but it makes zero sense to lose a weapon just to make another weapon a little better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Weapon. You make another weapon your main target, and then everyone takes away that main target. That's what they're going to focus on. They're going to focus on that main target now.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point, but I just think Diontae Johnson has done what he's needed to do for us. There's no reason to have him on the roster when I just don't. I just feel like he can be a solid guy, but he is not a true number one receiver. And if George Pickens gets the chance to be the true number one without Diontae and he's not him, then we'll have to find someone else. But I'm saying we need to have a true number one. That is the next step in our evolution as a great team.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the good old defense too. I think defense should really get a lot of credit for holding.
They were the MVPs yesterday.
13 points. Let's really talk about, I gotta look at TJ Watt's stats. Ever since he got back, I don't know if he's still a little hurt, how he's feeling.
Yeah.
His brother's retiring finally, he terrorized enough people.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen too much from him since he's been back. Hopefully, he's a lot better. And the Steelers make the playoffs because they need a guy like him to, take care of the load essentially on that defense. I'm not saying the defense was bad. The defense played great yesterday. It was a really good game for the defense, but I do want to see a lot more from TJ Watt, if they make the playoffs.
So, yeah, and TJ Watt, he came up with a sack yesterday. He's looked good. Obviously, he's not returned to form. When he came back, as soon as he came back from the bicep injury, he had a problem with his ribs. But the thing about the Steelers defense yesterday is that they made plays when they needed to, and they made the big plays when necessary. The real key for me, not only forcing the Ravens into clutch 3-and-outs, which they did the exact same thing to the Raiders last week, and especially in the second half in the fourth quarter. Whenever the offense failed, the defense forced a 3-and-out and got us the ball right back. But it was that after we scored, I think we scored our second field goal, and Justice Hill takes a kickoff back to their 40-yard line.
That was
And the
big.
defense, and I'm thinking that whole drive we just went on where we couldn't get in the end zone again has completely been negated now because they're already in field goal range. And we
Yeah, that's
pushed
what I
them
was
back.
thinking.
And then on third down, the throw over the middle to Isaiah Likely, and I think it was Terrell Edmonds, makes a huge hit that forces the
Oh,
incompletion.
that was beautiful
Those are
coverage.
the big
Beautiful
play
coverage.
and big clutch plays that you need your defense to make, which the defense is the deciding factor in my opinion in football, especially like a good defense will get you way further than a good offense any
Well,
day.
talk about that drive real quick. Why didn't they kick the field goal with the best kicker in the league? Like, why not
Honest,
even attempt it? I don't understand. I didn't understand, and it
yeah.
was so confusing to me on why you have the best kicker in the league, maybe the best kicker in history, and I think the ball was on the 42. And correct me if I'm wrong, 41 maybe. And the
It would have been
Vikings
a
just kicked
60. It would have been a 65-yard field goal.
the Vikings just kicked that same field goal last week to win the game.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not their coach. I honestly don't really. I don't really care because
I mean, yeah,
if it were this,
it goes in the Steelers' favor.
if Tucker was our kicker and we were in the same circumstance, I might have thoughts like maybe they didn't want to risk missing and then giving us the ball at the 50 or what. But I don't know. But I mean, to me, it doesn't really matter because they did that, and I I don't
No.
think. Yeah, Jerry.
Well, there are two things. Well, there's something I really liked about this Steelers defense that they did, playing two really young studs that I think we will have for a good long time: DeMarvin Leal and Mark Robinson. Devin Bush, he's been completely replaced. It looks like. I didn't think he was even playing, but he was on the sideline with his pads. He only had like 5 snaps in the whole game. It was Mark Robinson and Robert Spillane. And I
They
think,
were talking about that on
yeah,
the whole entire game, essentially.
oh yeah, Devin Bush. He's on. I'm all right to say it now. He's not going to be a Steeler. That 5th year already hasn't been picked up. They're not. He's not getting a new contract. As simple
Hey,
as that.
listen, we'll take him over at the Giants. I mean, I think he's a hell of a player.
It's sad what
Yeah.
happened to him because if you watch his tape before his injury, I mean, he just flew around the field,
Yeah, he
and
definitely
now
did.
he's come back and he hasn't been the same since. But
It sucks. It
yeah,
sucks, but it happens.
yeah,
You hate to see it, but like
sure.
in hindsight, like his rookie year, he was a good linebacker.
He was really good when he was
We
a
can say
rookie. He's
that.
very good. Yes.
So it sucks to see that, but I think we have a good linebacker in Mark Robinson, 7th round pick, and
Yeah.
he started for the Steelers.
We'll see. I mean, time will tell. They played him to stop the run, and I mean, they pretty much had a hold on the run for. I won't say they had a hold on it, but they did what they needed to do. They remember what we talked about last week, right? The Ravens knew if they ran on us, they would beat us.
Yeah,
They didn't. The run game was not the difference in the game for them. We not only ran more than them on offense, but we held them to a reasonably low number defensively. And I think that needs to be talked about more. And people need to, everybody wants to talk about the offense and the drive at the end of the game, but it was really the defense, which was our MVP, and I believe for our success in the future, will still have to contribute to being, the reason why we are winning football games.
Yeah, I think that was a killer. I think it was a killer. It was a defensive game yesterday, and I think when it's a defensive game, people, it's boring. Essentially,
Yeah.
like everyone wants to see a Patrick Mahomes.
To the average fan, yes, yes.
Yeah,
To me,
everyone wants to see a Patrick Mahomes.
I love seeing that, especially when you win.
Defensive
Like,
games is where it's at.
yes, especially if you win and you can sit back and really appreciate. Like, I remember last year, like watching the Steelers and being like, I feel so bad for the defense because every week, and even earlier in the season too, a little bit, they give everything that they have and they constantly put us into positions to win, but we can't win. We just can't finish, whether it's offense, whether it's turnover or whatever, or they just get completely tired out. But if the defense's job, they don't have to be the number one in every statistical category. They don't have to be they just need to put us in a position and give the offense the ball and the chance to win when it matters. In the last 2 weeks, they've done that. Now, that's obviously not sustainable. You're not going to be able to do that for years and years and years, but the growth is there and the improvement is there. And that's really what matters. And the defense, I mean, a good, depending on what they do, a good offseason for the Steelers in the draft. They might get lucky. They might have to get lucky, maybe a good free agency signing. There's no reason why our defense can't be top 10 with the superstars that we have, especially if Cam Hayward doesn't if he continues to play at some type of high level, not all pro bowler, but at some type of high level, the defense. I mean, the
Cam
sky's the
Hayward
limit.
had a few good tough run stops last night. Stalemates, grabbing Dobbins and holding him at the line of scrimmage. And I love how we abuse their defense. Calais Campbell not being in the game.
I think we do
He's
need
a
to
big
talk
run
about.
stopper.
Do you guys feel like Cam Hayward's retiring after this year? Or what do you think the future is for him?
Honestly, I don't know. But if he does, I mean, I would get it. It would be a huge loss. It would be because even just like not just his play on the field, but just his off the field leadership, that would absolutely be a huge loss. So, Dre, what do you think? Because I mean, I don't. He hasn't said anything about it.
I don't think he's gonna retire. He's still, in my opinion, he's not playing at like a super high level, but he is playing good for how old he is. How old is he? 35 years old.
I think it's like 35.
He's playing like he's playing like a real grueling position at D line. I think we got him for maybe 3 more years, maybe
till the end of his, at least till the end of his contract.
Yeah, like I think we have him to the end of his contract. After that, it's like it might be like one of those deals.
Yeah, I mean it ain't bad.
Yeah.
He ain't having a horrible season or anything. But you playing that D line position, I think it ages you twice as long. Essentially.
For sure.
For sure. Especially in the
he has 8.5. He got 8.5 on the season and 36 solos, which is pretty, it's pretty average.
But it's his off the field impact and leadership that he provides to the team, which I think
he
is
can tell a player to shut up and they listen. Like that is the guy Cam Hayward is on the Steelers.
He's the undisputed captain of the defense. Not even he might not be the best player, but he's the undisputed leader. And sometimes that those type of things that would go unnoticed, that you wouldn't be able to tell. Like, yes, you can put in a guy to get 8.5 sacks and to get 30, 35, 40 tackles, but it's the off the field stuff that he kind of provides that would kind of go unnoticed, and the pedigree too.
I mean, he's from Pittsburgh himself. What can we say? Cam Hayward, he's different.
He's just different. That guy.
Yeah, but the Steelers, they get the victory yesterday. Very, very good game. They remain alive in the AFC playoff picture. They need to win next week, which I think is doable. Do we think they can beat the Browns at home? I think if we play good defensively, I think offensively, hopefully it won't be as nail biter and as close as the past couple games have been. And then we need the Bills to beat New England, which is doable, and then we need the Jets to beat Miami, which that would probably be the one where the result is most up in the air. But
yeah, I mean the Jets is already out; they don't care.
Yeah, the Jets are out.
That's the way I'm looking at it.
So if they want to play spoiler against Miami, who will who knows? But I'm pretty sure that's I'm pretty sure that's the last playoff spot up for grabs in the AFC is the 7th seed, because the Chargers and Ravens. I mean, technically the Ravens can still win the division, but I don't see it happening because I think the Bengals are, even if the Bengals somehow lose tonight, which they might.
I mean, we can talk about that. So we got the 7th seed. I think it's only left in the NFC and the AFC. Yeah. That's it on the 7th seed. Because the Giants have the 6th seed.
The Jags
have the 6th seed, yeah.
And that can be taken by only the Titans.
So the Titans and Jags is going to be a big game next week. But in all reality, Henry didn't play this last week. I don't know if he's hurt or what, or they were just resting him.
Yeah,
but essentially, I think the stupid thing was it didn't even matter if the Jags won this game.
Yeah, it all mattered. Well, the next week is the game that matters. I think the Jags. Yeah. I think the Jags win. I think they've been hot. I think the Jags are going up.
They blew them out.
The Titans are going down. So I believe the Jags will take that and win the division. I honestly think the most interesting out of the 3 playoff spots that are still up for grabs, I think, is the 7th seed in the AFC. I think that's the one where if New England wins, they're in. So that's something right there. If Miami wins and New England loses, which is very much possible, then Miami will get in. And the Steelers, I mean, I think there's much more of a shot for them to get in than other people might think. I think that the Packers, I mean, pretty much have the 7th seed wrapped up. They play
they control their own destiny.
Yeah. They
Yeah,
play at
at
it's
their
home
home
against
field.
Detroit. Yeah, they play at home against Detroit. They've been playing good. As much as I don't like Aaron Rodgers, I'm sure he'll get it done. But
that'll be a rough game though. I do have
so
to say.
out of
The
those,
Lions are really hot too.
the Lions are. They
Let's
lost
say
to
that the Lions
Carolina,
are
but
hot.
I'm saying I think at home, Aaron Rodgers, especially after what they did to the Vikings, which you can
That was
have
bad.
your own opinions on the Vikings,
That
but
was bad.
out of
The
those two
Vikings are
teams, right?
frauds. I mean, we can talk about it. The
Yeah.
Vikings are frauds. I think we all realize that about what the Colts did. Yes, their comeback was amazing,
Mhm.
but the Giants just blew the Colts out.
Yeah.
So
And that
if the
doesn't
Giants
say
are blowing them
much.
out, you guys almost lost them. You guys really only didn't lose to them because they played horrible second half.
Yeah.
But
A lot of mistakes.
in all reality, I think this just proves on how bad the Vikings really are. They took away their best player, one catch for 15 yards the whole game. They took him
Yeah,
away, and they
The biggest
had
fantasy
nobody.
sell in fantasy football history.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
that
I
was bad.
mean that was everyone's championship right there.
Yeah,
It's him,
basically.
and he just didn't do nothing. And I mean, he was frustrated. He
Yeah.
was mad. I mean, that was probably the worst game I've ever seen from Kirk Cousins.
Mhm.
And I mean that in total honesty, that was probably the worst game I've ever seen by Kirk Cousins.
Oh yeah.
And it was bad. It was horrible. It was horrible.
For sure. Um, so out of those kind of three last playoff, or let's just talk about the 7 seeds. Which of those teams do we think is best fit to be in the playoffs? Who do you not who do you most want to see? Because I think it'd be pretty obvious, but who do we think could out of those 7 seeds that we talk about? So Green Bay, the Lions, Seattle, or on the flip
Well,
side, or well,
I
listen,
think
listen.
if
On the
Tua
flip
comes
side,
back though,
the Dolphins, the Steelers, or New England. Who's most likely to maybe not win a playoff game, but to give the 2 seed a legitimate game?
All right, let's start with the NFC.
NFC.
I think that's the Packers. Like
Yeah.
easily. I
Yeah.
mean, the Packers are hot. I think they actually start. Their offense is starting to glue. I don't feel like you go into obviously you're not going to play them at Green Bay in the 7th seed, but I think you go and play the Packers right now. I don't think they're one of them teams that no one wants to let them in and no one wants to let them play because they will cause havoc. Now on the AFC side, for me at least, I don't feel like anyone really wants to play the Dolphins. I feel like that because I think the Dolphins have, like I said before many times, the greatest offense in the league. And I think it's a very dangerous offense that teams have struggling game planning for because they have so many weapons around them. Now, the only issue is Tua being hurt, and I don't know if he's going to play next game or he's not going to play next game. But if he doesn't, I don't really see them in, and I see probably the Steelers going in because I don't really see I don't see the Patriots even causing a problem in the playoffs in general, like at
No.
all. I think it'd be a waste of a playoff spot, essentially.
Jerry?
Yeah, so on the NFC side, I'm gonna have to go with the Detroit Lions, man. I just
Whoa.
feel like they've been playing real good football. Jared Goff, he's been going under the radar, if I'm being completely honest. He's been playing like a top quarterback in the league, whether you like him or not. I know we know what we got with him. Like, he's never going to be like that guy, but like, he's been playing great football. The Detroit defense is spotty, but like, I just feel like this team, they want it. I feel like they have that drive to get into that 7th seed. Seattle, they've fallen off a cliff. They've been trending downwards. I don't see them making it. And
I
Green
wasn't even
Bay,
thinking about them.
yeah, Green Bay's the only team that I see giving up a fight with Detroit. Like, that game is gonna be a good game.
Well,
Trust.
who do you honestly think that Detroit can go in? Because the 2 seed right now is the Niners, and I don't see that changing. Do you
Yeah.
think they can go in to the
Let
Niners
let
and
me
actually put up a fight?
let me butt in here. So yeah, Green Bay. First of all, I wouldn't say Seattle because Seattle has already lost to the Niners twice this season,
Yeah, it's a joke.
and they
That's
really
a
got
joke.
beat on. So the reason why I would also say the Lions is think about Green Bay. The last 2 times they played San Francisco, they obviously lost to them at home in the divisional round last year. But then when they played in the championship at San Francisco a couple years ago, I mean, it was a blowout, and I don't think any of these teams would beat San Francisco. You guys know how I feel about San Francisco. I mean,
Yeah, probably
great
not.
offensive weapons, great play caller, and that tremendous defense. But I think a team like the Lions, who has had surprising performances against good teams kind of throughout the season, and has had games where they've really come out and played really, really well and played better than people thought. I think they would give the Niners a run, not a run for their money, but I think they would give them the best game. Where I think the Packers would kind of I think the Packers would, play a ball. I think it would just be Niners would be up by maybe 1 to 2, maybe 2 scores the whole game, and it's not really anything close,
I think you guys
especially
gotta
in San
believe in them a
Francisco.
little more.
I
I think
don't.
you guys gotta believe in them more.
Based on what I've seen in the past and based on the Niners defense, like I said, I don't think any team would even have a close game, but I think the Lions have
whoever gets into that spot, in my opinion.
I think the Lions have the best chance to kind of make it maybe a surprising game. But Dre, what about your AFC pick?
Well, on the AFC side, it may be
just pick the Steelers, bro. Just
but
pick
I'm
the
gonna
Steelers.
have to say the Steelers.
I mean, that's biased though. Like, come on, you guys.
Look, I'll tell you why.
Go ahead, you tell me why.
All right, we talk about the Dolphins. We talk about Tua Tagovailoa. Do you guys know that they have been on a losing streak with Tua playing? He hasn't been a game changer. They've been on like a 4-game losing streak with him playing. I don't see this team. This team does not look like they get into the playoffs. New England, they've been a mess. They've been a mess all year, honestly.
Well, New England is no threat. There's no threat offensively.
They're literally
their defense. They make too many mistakes. New England This is between Miami and Pittsburgh. Even if New England gets in, they're not doing anything.
Like New England's defense isn't even like
they're not even that good.
They're not scary. Yeah, it's just an average defense. And I mean, in all reality, I just don't see I see them going to the playoffs and getting dragged by any team they play. Essentially.
So here's an interesting point that I kind of want to make. First of all, yeah, I think J-Rod, you said the Dolphins are a team that nobody want to play. I see like your reasoning for that. I would kind of disagree only because they have lost 5 in a row and because I don't think Tua's coming back for the rest of the season.
With Tua.
I don't think Tua's coming back for the rest of the year because they're not. I don't think they'll go anywhere in the playoffs, so there's no reason. Here's why I'm going to pick the Steelers because I want to leave you guys with this. Say the Cincinnati Bengals win tonight and they end up with the 2 seed and the Steelers end up with the 7 seed.
That's a
Steelers
game.
at Cincinnati in the playoffs, AFC North football. The Cincinnati Bengals have only beaten the Steelers twice in Cincinnati in the last 10 years. And I know that was the last year and the year before that. But every time divisional football is played, especially in the playoffs, it tends to be a battle and a close game. And I think I could see the Steelers going against Cincinnati, not winning. I would still pick the Bengals. I would absolutely pick the Bengals. But I could see the Steelers maybe losing, 23-16 or 20-13, where we kind of lose, where we're kind of in it late. I could definitely see the Steelers.
I gotta stop you there. It's gonna be a blowout. Like it wouldn't even.
No way.
I disagree.
It wouldn't be close.
First of all, Joe Burrow has had 2 bad games this season, and the second game against Pittsburgh wasn't even bad. But when we play against Joe Burrow, he seems to struggle a little bit in terms of, especially our pass rush. And I know their O-line's been getting better, but I think our defense could put us like I said, the defense has to put us in position to win. I think our defense could put us into position to win. The first game we played them, it was obviously Mitch Trubisky and Matt Canada, first game of the season. Okay, whatever. But the second time we played them, it was our highest scoring game of the season. We put up 30 points. And I know
if they beat the Bills, though, I think they're a real threat, though.
I'm saying the Bengals would beat us, but I'm saying the Steelers could play a good game against them.
Yeah, I think it would be a good game, a barn burner. That's going to be a top playoff game. It wouldn't be a blowout. It wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be like losing. Like if the Steelers get it, like if the Steelers make it the 7th seed just to play Kansas City or Buffalo, then I'd be sad because I think we're getting.
That's
what we saw a couple years ago with the Steelers, though, when they played the Browns and then what was the score with the Browns?
That's a good point, but a lot of people forget about that game because that was the worst game I've ever seen the Steelers play in my entire life. No, you're right, Jonathan. You're right.
He's right. 1,000%.
But I do not see I do not see Kansas City playing a game like that ever. I see a team and the Steelers were trending down that season. That's a good point that you make, but I think it's a little bit different. But
that season we were literally
We were 11-0. We
They
lost 5 of the
started
last 6
going
games. Yeah.
bad. They started
And
going bad.
people will say what they want about the Browns beat us, but no, if you actually watched that game and you remember, you would know that the Steelers, we were throwing interceptions. They scored a touchdown on the first play of the game, and we were on offense. They scored a touchdown on the first play of the game.
Snap over Ben's head. I was like,
yeah.
it's over. It's over.
So
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't see them.
I see the Steelers walking into Cincinnati and giving them a game purely based off of the fact that it's AFC North football.
I agree. I agree.
I can agree with that.
But it all comes down to if Cincy can beat Buffalo.
Hold on, time out. We're going to talk about it right now. Who's winning the Super Bowl out of everyone left in the playoffs? Who's your Super Bowl picks? Just talk about it right now. Super Bowl picks. And don't say the Steelers because that's just stupid. Don't even go there.
No.
Don't
honestly, I know I picked. I don't. It's tough, bro, because I pick the Niners. I know I picked the Eagles a couple weeks ago. That was before Jalen Hurts got hurt, so that's kind of my excuse. But
Jalen Hurts is coming back this week, though.
I hope to see a Eagles Niners NFC Championship game, and yeah, I picked the Niners, man. I would say a Niners Chiefs or a Niners Bengals Super Bowl would be something that something that I'd see.
Niners Bills take it. The Bills are that team. They get underlooked.
You guys,
I know they haven't had recent playoff success, but like
you have to think about the defense, bro.
They don't even have a quarterback. Like, let's be honest here. They don't have a quarterback that's been to the playoffs, that's done it, that's took someone anywhere. Like, let's be completely honest here.
Who's San Fran?
Yeah.
No, okay.
They don't have that guy.
I do actually. I will agree with you. I think the rookie quarterback will show up at one point when they're really in the trenches in a battle against Philadelphia. That's when the rookie is going to show. So maybe I will.
That's what I'm saying.
If Jalen Hurts comes back,
I don't see it. I don't see it.
If Jalen Hurts comes back, I'll stick with my pick.
Now let's talk about it though. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
No shot.
Just came off of listen. This is my automatic. I know they're not going to win. I want the Giants to win, but I'm not even going to go there. The Cowboys, no fucking way. No shot at all.
I would love to see the Vikings, the Chargers, man.
The Vikings, 0% chance.
Nah.
The Eagles, they got a really good chance. So here's my top 3 picks. Eagles, 49ers, Bucks. I don't think the Niners are going to go up soon, only because rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
So that leaves you with the Bucks and the Eagles. The Eagles been a little fraudulent lately. I think they began to expose.
Their quarterback's been hurt.
That's just because Jalen.
And they played a good game against Dallas. I'll
give them that, but it's a little fraudulent. Because we were talking about their defense is so this and that.
Yeah,
they gave up 40 points versus Dallas.
That's true.
Yeah.
And that had nothing to do with their quarterback.
Yeah,
no, you're right. I could see the Bucks beating the Cowboys because the Cowboys are the Cowboys.
Yeah,
I don't see the.
Correct me. The Bucks walked into Dallas and beat them week 1, correct?
Yeah, they did.
So I could see but I do not see the Bucks winning any other games beyond that. They could beat the Cowboys, but I don't see them winning anything.
That might be about it.
Did you see what Tom Brady? All that stuff we talked about Tom Brady.
They were playing first of all, they were playing the Panthers. Second of all, they left Mike Evans in one-on-one coverage. He cooked their third-string cornerback. So
did you see what they did? Did you see what they did?
I saw what they did, but that still was a close game in the fourth quarter. So let's not act like they blew them out of the water.
Downfield all game, accurately.
One game though. We've had our issues with him all season. He did it one game.
But the Bucks. He's going to go into the pro season hot and ready.
The Buccaneers who's going
to be the hot Buccaneers team?
I think any team could beat a hot because I don't think they're that hot.
You just said the Cowboys.
They're not that hot, bro. What do they won 2 games in a row? They barely beat the Cardinals in overtime, and then they beat the Carolina Panthers.
Listen, I think it's gonna be a Bucks, and if I'm taking the team from the AFC,
oh my gosh, are you serious?
If I'm taking the team from the AFC, just listen, it's not gonna be the Bills. It's gonna be the Chiefs. I don't care what nobody says. I mean, they have no. I don't mean.
He can't even take himself seriously. He's laughing. He can't stop laughing right now, bro.
I'm talking about AFC. I'm talking about AFC. NFC, totally serious about the Bucks, but AFC, I just don't see anybody better than the Chiefs. Only because Like, what teams will really beat them?
Yeah, no, I think the Chiefs obviously are the. I mean, yeah, they're the
Great
same
offense,
because they're
but their
Patrick Mahomes
defense
and
Well,
they're
is gonna
good.
kill
the dangerous thing is it's only because of Patrick Mahomes because
Yeah.
the Bills' defense is 10 times better than the Chiefs'
If the
defense.
Bills, if
Yeah.
the Bills beat, I think if the Chiefs play the Bengals again, I think the Chiefs would win because like
That's what I'm
just the
saying.
fact, just the numbers, just the
Yeah,
the chances of beating Pat Mahomes 4 times in a row within like basically 1 year.
That'd be
But
crazy.
if the Bills are able to get by the Chiefs in the playoffs and they play the Bengals tonight, will be a big tell. But I think I don't see the Bengals beating the Chiefs again, but I do see the Bengals beating the Bills.
I can
yeah, and
agree.
like let's also the only other thing I'll give to the AFC is or not Russell Wilson. Jesus, that was horrible. Lamar Jackson, he come back healthy. The Ravens got that 6th seed spot. It's gonna get ugly. That's all
No,
I'm gonna say.
no.
It's gonna get ugly.
Lack of
It's
weapons on
gonna
the
get
lack
ugly.
of weapons on the offense, and Lamar Jackson is a baller, and don't get it twisted.
Lamar
But
Jackson is himself by himself. The
um,
good.
But that
I
only
d-
gets you so
but
far.
are you not taking into account like just being out for 5+ weeks
Oh, I didn't
and
say no. I
coming
didn't
back
say
from
he was
injury?
gonna be. He was gonna do something crazy. All I said was it's gonna be dangerous because
Yeah,
Lamar Jackson. He's Lamar Jackson.
yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. We'll see what
Well, that
happens.
I think it's the Chiefs and the Bucks.
We'll see what happens.
The Chargers versus wait, is it
No,
Chargers versus the
Bengals, Bills.
Bengals Bills? My bad.
This is
Yeah,
basically for who's gonna
I'm
get the
gonna
two
take the
seed.
Bills. I'm gonna take the Bills, and I think the Bills if they win, I think they're above the Chiefs because they beat the Chiefs.
yeah. If the Bills win, they become the #1 seed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in my case, I'm hoping the Bills win because then maybe they'll play Patrick Mahomes next week and I actually win my fantasy championship. But who knows?
Jerry,
Uh yeah, I'm gonna have to go with the Bills on this one. I just don't think the Bengals are gonna be able to hold up with them. I think their defense is gonna keep the Bengals in check, and the Bengals are gonna stay at that 3 seed.
I'm taking Joe Shiesty and I'm taking Joe Shiesty in the Bengals. Just
Who
their weapons on the offensive side, man. They
I don't blame you though. I don't blame
the
you.
Bills defense just have Jordan Poyer. The Bills safety just went down. He's out for the season with injury. I just saw. So
Oh
yeah, I think
damn.
I think the Bengals will cook. I think the Bengals will cook them today.
All right, and then last thing before we all head off, I think this is one's an obvious one, but Georgia versus TCU for the college football championship.
Um,
I
I
think
know
it'll go
my
Georgia
guy.
100%. I mean, I
yeah,
don't see it.
I hope it's a good game,
Um,
but I'm picking Georgia. I don't think it'll be close. I think it'll
I got
be
them
the score
horn
will be
frog.
close. I think the score will be close, but I don't think it's gonna be a close game.
Bro, their
No,
quarterback's been in college for 8 years, bro. He better win a championship.
I got them horn frogs. I love a good underdog story. I love
Yeah, I
it.
agree.
Underdog. He's been in college for 8 years.
Max
He's a
Duggan, he's a
fucking
4 year. He's
Hey
4 years.
man, Max Duggan, he low key reminds me of the GOAT. He low key
He's
reminds
that
me of the GOAT a little
guy.
bit, bro. Like he's got that heart and soul. He'd be willing his team to
Yeah,
the victory, man. He reminds me of the GOAT a little bit, just a little
yeah.
bit, man. So I'm gonna be
Max
pulling
Duggan
for
is
him.
a he's
I'm
a
gonna be
he's a
pulling for him, but
freak.
I still got to pick Georgia, man. They're different down there. They're different.
I can respect it. I can
Yeah.
respect that.
bro. Whose quarterback are y'all talking about? Y'all talking about?
You're talking about Stetson
TCU?
Bennett, Jonathan.
No, yeah, you're talking about
Yeah,
Bennett.
you're
Yeah,
talking
He's
about
like
that's
Stetson
what I
Bennett.
said.
29.
I thought y'all were talking about him. I was like, he's been in college for 8 years, bro. That's
No,
what I
yeah,
really thought.
Stetson Bennett is like 30 years old.
Yeah, for sure. But
We'll
yeah,
see how
no,
it all falls out.
we'll see. Gentlemen, thank you for another wonderful episode, Dre, our special Steelers insider reporter, #1 fan. Thank you
Yes, sir.
for joining us once again. We hope for the best results next week, and we hope for a good week of football. And next week we'll come at you with we'll wrap up the NFL season, talk a little bit about college football playoff championship, and thank you everybody for tuning in.